how much do you think that the government should tell you how to raise your kids? This is a question that is coming up after a very interesting incident that happened in Maryland. A Maryland couple has been found responsible for unsubstantiated child neglect for letting their children walk home alone from the park. The children of Danielle and Alexander Meitiv, ages 10 and 6, were picked up by police while walking alone and sparking a 2-month-long investigation by Montgomery County Child Protective Services. The decision means that the family is going to be, at least for 5 years, under surveillance by the agency. The couple obviously plans to appeal, and they think that obviously this is completely out of line. The authorities have previously cited that there is a law in Maryland that says that any kid under 8 should be walking or always be under supervision of someone at least 13 years old. The CPS is required to respond and investigate any of these situations. Nick, I think what is really important of the story is this overreaching from the agency on how to tell you if your kids are ready or not to be independent? I think this is very important to the future of freedom.
Well, without a doubt. They're investigating, we're seeing all these things. It's like, what do? They let their kids walk home by themselves. I mean, from personal experience, growing up in Los Angeles, I went to court 3 different times for curfew law, being out past 10 o'clock and not being over the age of 18. I mean, I don't have bad parents, No? They just trusted me. I wasn't doing anything stupid. But this is the kind of things that you see sometimes in this country. I mean, you see people interfering when they shouldn't. You see police getting in things they shouldn't be getting into, using force they shouldn't get into. But, you see the extremes on both sides. And you asked me the question, and yeah, I do think that this is a bit overreaching from their point.
Yeah, it is. This family, both of them, they are scientists. They are embracing something that is more known as free-range philosophy. That it means that the kids should develop this self-reliance and that they need more alone time and they need freedom to explore on their own means and do their own mistakes and learn how to make choices. There's a quote from the mom that says, "We don't feel it was appropriate for an investigation to start, much less conclude that we are responsible for some form of child neglect." They will appeal. And this reminds me of, there have been other cases where Child Protective Services come in and they intervene in a family, and for lack of supervision, there have been some tragedies. Last year in Texas, a little girl, 2 years old, was murdered by her foster mother because she was slammed on the floor. It was very gruesome, very horrible. But the important thing here is that the reason why this little girl was taken from their biological parents was that they smoked weed. And because they smoked weed, other than that, they didn't have any problem. But because they smoked weed, Child Protective Services decided that that girl was endangered, and it was taken and removed from the home and taken to a foster home, where after the investigations, after the murder happened, it turned out that the husband of this foster mother was a recovering crack addict and had meth on the premises. So you take this girl from their biological parents that smoke weed and that never had any issues whatsoever, and then take it to a home with a foster mother, and that repeatedly had issues and warnings. The biological parents had visitation, and they saw bruises, and they saw the girl change, and they reported this to Child Protective Services. But nobody did anything till it was too late.
Yeah, well, so it's like, let's take them away from the pothead parents and give the baby to the crackheads. Yeah. Again, meddling when you shouldn't. But this whole thing about letting your children walk home from the park, that's so extreme. I mean, you have kids in countries that are literally, at that age, those are young kids. I don't know how old they are, but they're really young, toddlers. Yeah. You have kids that are working at that age in some places in the world.
They're heading households.
And in America, they can't even walk home from the park. So there should be this in between here. I mean, this is obviously, again, 2 really extreme ways of looking at it, but gosh, I mean, really?
I mean, it's important to know that this family, the Meitivs, they were only working for 1 mile. It's not like they were walking 5 miles. It's only 1 mile from the park to their house, and the parents do the increments on how they let them, walk just just 1 block, and then 2 blocks, and then 3 blocks, and they decided that they were ready to do it. So I think that there is this idea that the government and the agencies, the government agencies, should dictate how we treat our kids. I do not agree. I think that although we do have to be very vigilant of how kids are raised and that they have welfare, at the same time, we need to give freedom to the parents to decide how they want to raise their kids as long as the imminent danger is not present. So we want to know, what do you think? Do you think there is an epidemic of overreaching on the Child Protective Service agencies around the different states or not? They were all right to protect these kids and take them away from the family and have an investigation? Let us know in the comments and subscribe to the Lib TV.